friends, my name is Emily and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a reading journal check-in. This is a quarterly check-in that I do to see if I'm on track for my goals. Have I improved from Q1? How can I do better in Q3? If you've seen these videos before, you will know that I keep a daily bullet journal where I track my day-to-day things, but then I also have a reading journal which is more like it says on the tin, it's for reading. It has reviews. It has my reading specific goals for this year. So at the end of Q1, I went through and I totaled up the stats that I'm interested in tracking. And so at the end of Q1, I had read 11 new buys, which I'm considering anything that I bought in 2021. I had read 6 books from my TBR. I had reread 4 books and I had borrowed 1 book. That was a total of 22 books read between January and March. The stats that I am also interested in are the ratio of genders and how many BIPOC authors I'm reading and how many queer authors I am reading. Well, I suppose I should say out queer authors that I am reading. There was an issue with Goodreads that I then ended up fixing, so the stats are a little bit off, but mostly the same. 1 book won't make that much of a difference. I read 15 books by women or not men and 7 books by men. 5 of the total books were by BIPOC authors, Black, Indigenous, person of color. 3 were by out queer authors. So that gives me 66% of my reads were by not men or women, 14% were by out queer authors, and about 24% were by BIPOC authors. This does fall short of some of my goals, but having these stats allows me to be a little more cognizant of what I am doing, what I am reading. I'm hoping to see the numbers have improved, but I'm not sure if I've actually done a good job in Q2. Q2 was very busy. I also hauled 18 books. We see that I read 11 new buys and I've hauled 18. That means there was a plus 7 books that I did not get to in Q1. That is a little bit of a problem if I'm trying to read what I own. So then we get to the actual months themselves. This is where I am pulling the data from. So every month I do a little stats page. In April, I'm gonna need a scrap piece of paper. Hold please. Let's go through and just tally up. Okay. So new, we have 3 in April, plus 3 in May, and 1 in June. So we have 7 new buys for TR. We have 5 for borrow, we have 1, and reread, we have 1, and then let's go DS 2. In May, we have 1 for TR, 1 borrowed, and 1 reread. And we have 0 for TR, 2 borrowed, and 2 and 2 DS, right? Okay. I have my little stats page set up here. For Q2, I read 7 new buys. I read 6 books from my TBR. I borrowed 4 and I reread 6. So that should be a total of 23 books. I DNF'd 4. This is the total that I am working with for my percentages, is 23. So let's look at the diversity stats that I'm tracking. So go to April, I read 8 women, 2 men, 2 BIPOC authors, and 4 queer authors. In May, I read 6 women, 2 men, 4 BIPOC, and 1 queer author. I won't specify out and queer because not everybody's out yet. And that is okay, people should be forced to themselves right. Okay, so we have got 16 women, 5, 7 men, 6, 7 BIPOC authors, and 6 out queer authors. So, women, 16 men, 7 BIPOC, 7 queer, 6. Okay, now we're gonna do a little bit of math here. So we have 16 over 23. We have 7 over 23. 30. And we have 6 over 23. We have 70% women, 30%, and 26%. Let's look at how I did. I read 66% women in Q1. That is up to 70%. So I'm going to put a little up arrow beside it. For BIPOC authors, I read almost 24% BIPOC authors in Q1, and that is up to 30%. in Q2. And for queer authors, I read 14% in Q1, and that is up to 26 in Q2. So I would say that I am doing a pretty decent job of prioritizing these voices. That is one of my goals for 2021, is to try and prioritize women, BIPOC authors, and queer authors as I'm reading, as I'm making purchases, to try and diversify my reading. So much of my English degree was part of the English canon, heavy scare quotes around that, meaning it was very old, dead, white men, and I'm trying to rectify that in my own reading. The category that I think is going to hurt the most is the hauled section. How many books did I haul in Q2? So, you can see that I hauled 18. There were 11 new buys. That means there was a +7 to my TBR in Q1. Now, I have been going back, and as I read things, I'm adjusting this number because my goal is to read everything that I bring in this year. I want to read. Basically, I want to be at least neutral in terms of what's coming in 2021. Let's look at hauled and still unread. So in April, I hauled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 of those are still unread. In May, I hauled 3, and 1 of those is still unread. And in June, I hauled 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 5 of those are still unread. So we have 9 and 9 is 18, and 9 of those are still unread. I'm gonna have to be a little bit more specific so that I can replicate this. I hauled 18. Oh no, that's 10. That's 10. Okay, so what this is telling me is that I definitely need to be better about hauling. It seems like not that much, you know? Pick up 1 or 2 books here and there because of book clubs. I still have things coming in from the Indigo pre-orders. That's gonna stop as we hit the fall. There still are a couple of Indigo employee pre-orders that are coming in. In Q3, I am going to try and be very, very cognizant about what I am actually purchasing. And let's hope that when I look at my Q3 stats, we're not looking at another 18 books hauled. I think I'm doing pretty good though. Like the books that I am hauling, I'm hauling for book clubs that are reading diversely. So I'm hauling things by Black, Indigenous, and authors of color. I am hauling things by queer authors. I'm hauling things by women. So I'm hauling to diversify the owned TBR that I don't have, because so much of my owned TBR is unfortunately a lot of white men. So if I read from my TBR, like the backlog TBR, it's not very diverse. Like somewhere this goal is going to fail just based on what I've built up for myself. But so far, I'm pleased that my stats have gone up. I'm reading about 22 books a quarter, right? Like if we look at here, we have 22 books, here we have 23, so about 20 books a quarter. It means I'm on track to hit my reading goal of 50 books this year. It gives me a lot of wiggle room if I have a really down month where I can't achieve a lot of reading for whatever reason. I'm feeling very good, very optimistic about my stats. You just want a little sneaky peek. This is my setup for July. I've just decided to do very simple gold and black. I have this gold zebra mild liner that I really like. I've been using it a lot. And I decided just to go gold and black. And so I have my little stats area set up. I've already read 1 book. So those are my stats. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you keep track of your stats? Or do you not keep track of your stats? Are you just sort of reading blissfully? I would love to know how you keep track of your stats. If you do, are you making use of things like Storygraph? I did load my Goodreads over into my Storygraph, but then didn't maintain it because maintaining 2 platforms was too difficult. Let me know if you're enjoying Storygraph, if you use Storygraph to track your stats and are enjoying it. I would love to feel motivated to get back into Storygraph. Thank you to patrons for making videos like this possible. The patron book club book for this month is on the screen right here. It is 150 pages of dystopian goodness that we will be reading and discussing at the end of the month. If you want to support the channel, want to participate in a book club, live discussion with myself, the links to that Patreon page are in the description box down below. If you liked what you saw here today, you would like to see more content like this, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I hope you are all doing well, that you are staying safe, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!